We're joined by one of my favorite Saskatchewanians, Andrew Scheer, MP for Regina Capel. Nice to see you.
Very good to be here.
You know, there's a lot of great Conservatives in Saskatchewan. Obviously, my superhero, Brad Wall, who's the de facto Premier of Alberta. But, you know, a lot of solid Conservatives there. What is it about the soil there, the earth there? Is it that you suffered so long under the NDP?
I do think you're right that after emerging from the NDP years, there was just this awakening. And you mentioned Brad Wall being the de facto Premier of Alberta. There's a lot of talk in Alberta right now about how to unite the right. I imagine if Brad moved to Edmonton, he could probably join both parties together, because I think he's so popular in Saskatchewan. He's done all the right things. He's really brought the focus back on government, back to the fundamentals, keeping the economy strong, recognizing that a dollar in the pocket of taxpayer families goes farther than in government. Just those.
For me, I like the fact that he's standing up for the region and the industries. He's pushing back against carbon taxes. He's promoting pipelines. You know, I admire that. Listen, I didn't mean to talk about Brad Wall and Saskatchewan, although I have a deep affection for the province. And when I see you, I'm reminded of all the qualities I like. I think there's a neighborliness. Maybe because there's so many small town folks there, and even the two big cities are still, they feel like a small town in terms of the culture.
They do. Every even in the big cities, Regina and Saskatoon, people are generally, a good chunk of the population there are only 2 or 3 generations removed from a small town, farming community. Even our cities are not as big as Toronto and Vancouver, so you get to know people on soccer teams, hockey teams, volunteer organizations. So there's a great feel of the community there for sure.
You know, this is turning into a Saskatchewan love-in. I'm just telling you what's coming to my mind. Really what I want to talk about, though, I want to talk about 2 things. You were, until last October, the Speaker of the House of Commons. That's a pretty big job. And I want to ask you a question based on your experience and your knowledge of procedure of the House of Commons and rules and customs. I want to talk about Tantrum Gate, when Justin Trudeau, frustrated by a less than 1 minute procedural delay, literally got out of his chair, stomped across the aisle, yelled, "Get the F out of my way," grabbed the Conservative whip, Gord Brown, physically moved him, elbowed, inadvertently, but I believe negligently, a female NDP from the NDP named Ruth Ellen Brazeau, and then later gave a non-apology apology. I would like your view, as the former Speaker, should an MP have been ejected from the House of Commons by the Speaker? And if the roles were reversed, if the Conservative whip had crossed over and grabbed the Prime Minister's arm, what would have happened to him? 2 questions.
Okay, well, first of all, you're absolutely right. It was a meltdown of some kind. If I could set the stage a little bit, there were a lot of bad things happening for the Liberals that week. They almost lost the vote on Monday. About 25% of their caucus decided to take Monday morning off. There was a vote that they didn't expect to have happen, and they almost lost. In fact, it was a tie. I can't remember the last time there was a tie vote on a government bill. The Speaker had to break the tie. And then Tuesday, they bring in this draconian motion number 6, which literally strips away every tool the opposition has to hold the government to account. And for the first time, the Ottawa elite, the bubble, the media were turning against them, and they were actually writing critical stories about Trudeau. And I don't think he likes to be criticized.
Yeah, he's got very thin skin. He's used to flattery.
Well, especially by his friends, in the media.
That's his base.
I don't think he expected it. So Wednesday, you're right, we had a procedural vote, and after less than 45 seconds delay, which you've been in the gallery before, you know that when the timer runs out, there's always 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of just members
milling
having conversations,
around.
Maybe
300 chatty people.
Yeah, you go to a cabinet minister, you say, "Hey, can you help me with this file?" You talk to a colleague on a committee, and it takes a few extra minutes to sit down. Lost his cool in a moment, and I sit right across from him. And what I think happened is he envisaged this moment where he would insert himself into the moment and solve this perceived problem. But you're absolutely right. It was there was no apology immediately afterwards. It's in my view that he only sincerely apologized when he realized it was caught on camera. Because the first things that he said was he was trying to make light of the to He said, I extended my arm to the whip and I tried to guide him through.
I don't think he was trying to make a joke. I think he was trying to elide. I think he was trying to BS his way through it. Unbeknownst to him, it was all caught on tape. I don't think it was a joke.
Yeah.
I've watched that ironic apology as it's. I don't think it was a joke at all. I think it was an attempt to be sneaky.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right. I just know that what happened if you look at his words immediately after it happened versus what was on tape and then what he acknowledged the next morning, they're completely different apologies. In terms of your first question about what would the speaker do, I have a lot of sympathy for Speaker Regan. It's a big chamber with 338 MPs in it milling around. If he didn't see what actually happened, I don't imagine he would be inclined to eject someone right away. Just on from his perspective, there were two sides to the story at that point. It wasn't until the tape made it very clear there was only one side of the story.
So it was like a referee who didn't see the replay, so he had to go with what he had seen and heard.
Yeah, I think he made the right call.
He said the PM manhandled someone. That's a statement in itself.
Well, he said it's inappropriate to. I don't know that he could pronounce judgment, and
right.
It's not really the Speaker's job to do that if he doesn't see it. It's more to allow the House to debate it. There were enough members in the House that indicated they saw what happened, and I think the Speaker did the right thing. He allowed a question of privilege. I can't remember the last time a question of privilege was brought against the sitting Prime Minister for personal behavior in the House of Commons. It's unbelievable. But your second question about what would happen if the roles were reversed, I mean, I think we all know the answer to that question.
Tell me.
There's I think there would be a massive. I think there is a bit of a double standard into how the media and some of the chattering classes are handling or commentating on it. If somebody walked over our Prime Minister, regardless of perhaps regardless of the party affiliation, I think that there would be a much more negative reaction and a more sustained reaction.
And maybe something from the Sergeant-at-Arms. Do you think any law, any force would go to stop the attacking MP?
It's really difficult to say because, I'm not a lawyer. You probably have more experience on this in terms of, what intent has to be there and that. But look, fundamentally, we're in a workplace where we are here. We're all adults. We're here debating laws for the country. Well, there's no excuse to touch another member.
Well, that's it. You're at a work, but you're in an office. You work for some big company downtown. You go over to someone. You say, "Get the F out of my way." Take his arm, grab him, and move him. And because you're sort of like that, you elbow another woman in the chest. Don't tell me that at a workplace like that, you're going to escape without being sent home, suspended, perhaps termination. You go to a bunch of workers in an office, you swear at them, you grab someone. Yeah. You're probably fired.
Well, and let's look at what the Liberals talk about. They've got a lot of friends in unions. They talk a lot about protecting unions, and a big thing with unions is workplace safety. The rights of workers versus management. And you can imagine if you put your kind of shop steward hat on and what you would be doing for one of your members if this had happened to you by management or by an executive. You're absolutely right. There would be a massive reaction to that.
I'm enjoying our conversation, but I actually invited you to talk because I understand you've been petitioned by some people. Throw your hat in the ring for Conservative leader. I don't expect you to make an announcement on our show here, but my question is, are you contemplating it? Are you considering it?
Especially at this convention, I've had a lot of people bring it up with me and have conversations with me. And my answer to them is, look, right now I'm the Conservative House leader. I've got an important role to play in our caucus. I think it would be inappropriate for the time being if I was trying to do two of those things. I think one either has to be a House leader or a whip or an interim leader. If you've got a caucus role like that. So for the time being, I'm focused on my duties in the House, but I got to tell you, there are a lot of people here that have said very positive things about my performance in the House in the past little bit, and my the issues I've taken strong stands on. So certainly personally rewarding to hear that, and I'll probably be sitting down and having some conversations with my wife in the next couple of weeks and see. Once the House rises, maybe have some conversations with a broader pool of people.
Last question. Do you speak any French?
Yes, I do, yeah. J'ai appris 13 années en école secondaire. Je suis né à Ottawa et j'ai appris 13 années en école secondaire. When I moved to Saskatchewan, I lost some of the conjugations, but it's coming back.
I'm just joking around. No, I think I understood. You say you were born in Ottawa and you studied French in school, and obviously you had a chance to use to speak. I don't think. I think Canada's gone too far with bilingualism laws, but I think if you want to be the Prime Minister for the whole country, you should be able to speak to the Quebec quarter in French.
Yeah, and we've got some great Conservatives from Quebec. Gerard Deltel, Pierre Paulus, there are rock solid Conservatives, people that share the same values that we have in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario. That want to see a smaller government, want to see lower taxes, want to see a balanced budget and a strong foreign policy. And so I think it is important to be able to communicate with those people that share our values. I would not want to have a barrier between us on language. If we can have a leader that can transcend that would be great.
I think that's right. All right. Nice to see you, Andrew.
All right. Great to see you too. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of The Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.